Hey, I'm ChristopherJMUA and welcome back to my channel. Unless you've never been here, of course, then welcome. I'm very glad you've stopped by. Today, we're reviewing the Tarte Sugar Rush Goals 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 palette. This is, I believe, the newest addition to the Sugar Rush line from Tarte. I've played with a couple of Tarte palettes before, mainly the Rainforest of the Sea palettes, like those circular ones that have like the circle pans. Not circle pans, like this. I've played with this Tarte palette before. And the Tarte Unleashed palette. This is the last palette I got from them. I think this is actually the latest palette that came out before this one. And I actually do quite enjoy Tarte's formula. They're not as punchy as a lot of other brands that I use, but I still like them. And they make pretty nice products for an affordable price. Of course, everybody knows of Shape Tape, so I'm quite a fan of the brand myself. So if you are too, or even if you're not, and you want to stick around and see what the Tarte Sugar Rush Goals 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 palette is like and what I think about it and how it performs, and see the live swatches of this beautiful baby, then stay exactly where you are, keep doing exactly what you're doing, and keep on watching. Okay, sorry, I was trying this thing where I like sit back from the camera because this is as far as my camera can zoom out without showing my edges. So I was trying to scoot back and I was just way too far away from my desk. I can't handle it. So we're gonna have to be up close and personal. Maybe one day I can zoom you out a little bit further like we used to have it, but for now we're gonna stay this close. Now, before we jump into swatches and an eye look, I wanna give you a little bit of information on the palette so you can know her details and her stats, you know, her sign, what she enjoys, what kind of drink she likes, what her favorite dinner would be, if you will. Now, I got mine from Ulta, so I'm gonna go to the Ulta website and give you the information from there. This is officially the Sugar Rush Goals 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 eyeshadow palette. Apparently there is no pressed pigment in this because they wouldn't be able to call it an eyeshadow palette if they did. So that's interesting. This is the first palette I've used in a while that didn't have a pigment in it. And this is $27. This palette contains 36 super blendable creamy eyeshadows. There's a mix of neutral shades and fun pops of color, and 36 shadows for 30 bucks. It's relatively inexpensive. It's a little bit over $1 for a shadow. And then the sugar on top for this palette is it is dermatologist tested, formulated without gluten, hypoallergenic, cruelty-free, vegan. It contains clay for better, longer, truer wear, and contains vitamin E, a natural preservative that also acts as an emollient and antioxidant. And then on their how to use section, it says blend any of these pigment packed shades onto your lid for an A+ worthy look. Well, we're gonna be doing a little bit more than just blending it on our lid. It's kind of funny that that's their only suggestion as to how to use it. Regardless of their intent, we have our own, and my first intent is to get into these swatches. So we're gonna open up the palette first. I'm gonna show you what it looks like, and then we're gonna jump into those. So first and foremost, this is our unit carton. This is the box that it comes in. It's cute, kind of basic. Just picture the palette, goals, goals, goals. And if we flip it over, it looks like it has the palette with a bunch of crushed shades, which is pretty neat, I think. And we have all the ingredients at the bottom. It shows that it's cruelty-free, recyclable packaging. It's mixed packaging. It says at Sugar Rush. I didn't know you could follow Sugar Rush. And sugarrushbeauty.com. Wow, okay, so I guess Sugar Rush is maybe their own brand, like sister brand of Tarte. Didn't know that. Okay, so I just went to sugarrushbeauty.com and it turns out that it's really just like a subsidiary page of tartecosmetics.com. It just gives a Sugar Rush line. For a minute, that was confusing me because I thought by it saying sugarrushbeauty.com that it was like trying to be its own entity, which I guess they're kind of doing, but not really. However, they do have their own Instagram. They don't have their own Twitter page, but they do have their own Sugar Rush Instagram page. I just really didn't realize that Tarte was kind of going all out with the Sugar Rush thing. I guess I do now. Now, if we open the palette, we have stars, cute, and then the palette itself. Goals, goals, goals. It looks like a little book. Like I feel like I could literally put this on a bookshelf and no one would be able to tell the difference. And then it opens, just like a book. Oh, thank goodness. The little plastic piece is actually like perforated into it and it's stuck. I like that. I never throw these things away anyway, so it's kind of annoying to keep it, but I like having the security of the barrier there so it doesn't get all smushed and stuff, and I don't like messy things. Anyway, this is the palette, open and alive. We do have a lot of those neutral shades that we're talking about, but there are a few pops of color, especially blue. Lots of blue, and some purple and some pink. I also like how this is organized. It looks like it's organized by warm tones on the left side and cool tones on the right, which is kind of neat. It's like you can kind of prepare for the look you're gonna do based on the side. I wonder if this goes all the way around. It does, okay. So you could sit it down like that if you wanted to. I don't think I will, but you could. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into swatching all 30 of these shades. All right, so I'm starting on the warm tone side, which is essentially the top left of the palette. This is the shade Forever. It is essentially just my skin tone. I know that's gonna be kind of hard to see. Next is the shade Always. The shade Photo Shoot. And the way I'm gonna separate these swatches is I'm gonna do the entire warm tone side first, then I'll flip over the plastic and do the cool tone side. So it's essentially going to be each row has 3 shades. Next is Live on the Edge. Oh, very yellow. Then Selfie. And then the shade Skip Day. Then we have LA. Tag Me. Dance Off. Twirl. Drop Top. Killing It. IRL. Concert. BRB. Graduation. The shade BU. And last on the warm tone side is the shade Just Me. Okay, and that is it for the warm tones. Now I'm essentially going to treat this like 2 separate palettes, mainly because I didn't make enough room for all of them on my arm. So I'm going to go ahead and insert photos of the warm tone side with flash here. And without flash here. And I want to make sure I get you guys a video of the swatches. As always, I'll get one of the warm shades now and the cool shades next. These are all the warm shades. Alright, now we are to the cool tones. This is my personal favorite. I love me some cool tones. This is the shade First Date. Again, really close to my skin tone, just like the other side. This shade is TFW. The shade Straight A's. The shade City Lights. The shade Feelin' Fly. The shade Night Out. The shade Denim. Oh wow. Where did that go? Wow, that is literally not showing up on my finger. Or on my hand, I mean. I guess I'm just gonna have to move on. The next shade is Love. Now that I have a clean swatch hand, I'm gonna go back into the shade Denim and see if maybe I had a shadow on my hand or something before I tried to go into it. And I'm really getting in it. Oh, okay, so on my finger, that's the shade Denim. It actually has a skin tone shade reflect in it. And I think that's why it's partially disappearing as a swatch, because it's a shimmer that looks like a skin tone. Also, it's just not very pigmented in the first place. Moving on, we've got the shade Backstage, the shade Filter. Ooh, I like that. The shade Ochre. The shade Matcha or Matcha. The shade Peace. The shade Road Trip. Summer Nights. Beach House. Thunder and Lightning. Wow, that's really, really pretty. Then we're gonna slide the shade DMs right there. Get it? Slide into DMs. Anyway, that is all of the cool tone side of the palette. And I will also insert photos of the cool tone side, one with flash here. And one without flash here. And here is our video of the cool tones. Like I said, this is my favorite side of the palette. But what happened to that shade? See, it looks like there's nothing there. That's the shade Denim. Oh, some of these though. Gorgeous. Okay, that was a lot of swatches. Swatches are now complete. So as you can see, there are a lot of different shades in this palette, and I really only had one problem with one shade, and it was the shade Denim right here. I don't know what the deal is with this shade. I don't know why it doesn't show up, or if it's like soft panned already. I don't know. I don't really know why it didn't show up on my arm, but all the others worked fine. Now, I wholeheartedly believe that swatches tell nothing as to how a shade or a palette is going to perform, because swatches aren't being blended out. They're not being used in actual application purposes. So you can't really judge a palette based on swatches. The only thing you can judge off swatches is the color story. But I am judging the shade Denim. I am. I'm judging that shade so hard because I really don't think that that shade's gonna show up on the eye at all. So first, I'm gonna go ahead and prime my eyes with my P. Louise base. My eyes are now completely primed and they are ready for some shadow. They are feeling rather naked and they are so wet, they are ready for it. I'm feeling kind of wearable today. Maybe with a pop of color. However, regardless of how wearable or not I'm feeling, the first thing I'm gonna do is take my Sigma E35 tapered blending brush, and I think I'm feeling cool toned also. So I'm gonna go into the shade First Date, and put that all in my crease and try to set my base with that mainly. After I make sure that I have no creasing, which I did. Someone needs to make a crease-free eye primer so that I can just immediately open my eyes after I prime and not worry about it. And I'm just putting a light dusting of this shade everywhere just to make sure that my base is set. I can barely even tell where it's going because it's so close to my actual eye color with this primer on it. It's a little more pink, but it's close. Okay, everything's going smooth so far. That shade laid down very nicely. It wasn't too dusty in the pan, not a lot of kickback, which doesn't really matter anyway, but not a lot of kickback. So far so good. The only thing I'm not enjoying is, I thought I was okay with the plastic thing. I thought I liked the plastic thing, and I would like the plastic thing if it was right in the middle, but it's not. It is stuck to the side that I'm using, essentially. So I can't like move it out of the way and keep it over here because it's attached to this side. So it's either gonna have to come off or I'm gonna have to get over it and deal with it, which is probably what I'm gonna do. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna get over it. Next, I'm gonna use my Sigma E25 blending brush. And in my little book here, now I'm gonna go into the shade Beach House. And I'm just gonna start putting that into the crease as well, but just a little closer to the actual crease and not quite as blown out. Even though the first shade I used, the First Date shade, is a little more pink toned, it's still blending in with this really well. This one isn't very pinky, it's more kind of taupey-ish. For my skin tone, it's kind of that perfect in-between light and dark shade. To put it in perspective, it would be like this is my foundation shade when First Date is my highlighting shade. It's kind of helping me deepen up the crease a little bit without being too dark, giving me back some dimension that I lost when I put down my eye base, which is the point. And see, this is one of those kind of looks where if you wanted to, you could slap a shimmer on the lid, slap it on your brow bone, be done, out the door. I don't want to. That is not what I'm going to be doing today. First, I'm actually gonna go back in with the tapered blending brush, the E35, and back into the shade First Date, which was the first shade I used, and then just go around the edges of Beach House just to make sure that there are no harsh lines and to make sure that those two shades blend in seamlessly together. This part is really a matter of preference. Not everyone wants it to be blended and smoky looking, if you will. It's not necessarily smoky because it has to be kind of blown out more to be smoky, but I just really like that blended out effect. I think it looks really nice. I think it looks finished and more complete, but to each her own. All right, now I'm gonna use my Sigma E45 small tapered blending brush, and this time I'm gonna go into the shade DMs, because we all get excited for a good DM. And this shade is very dark. So of course I'm gonna use it to shade with, but I'm going to use it to shade in very small increments. So I'm gonna try and go just crease and stop about here. So once I get all of the color deposited into the crease where it's the deepest shade, I'm gonna go back in with the E25 that had Beach House on it and blend those in together. It's just all about depositing and blending. Depositing, blending, depositing, blending. Over and over and over until you achieve the desired result. Now, as you can see, I have the outer crease built up with that deeper shade, and it looks really goofy right now. I know it does. I promise I know. So to fix that, this is where I'm gonna take the E25 brush and go back into the shade Beach House, and I'm gonna go just right on the edge of DMs and just start using tiny circular motions and blending those two into each other. You know, I don't know why I turn every eyeshadow review into a mini tutorial. I think I just feel the need to be helpful, maybe. Like maybe that's why I just automatically do that. I swear I don't mean to every time. It comes out. Okay, I think I'm happy with how that blended. It looks even and smooth. That side not so much, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that side. Make that look a little bit better. Tarte shadows are just so soft on the eye, which I think is good. Some people might not like that because soft also equals not punchy like a pigment would be, but it's an eyeshadow. It doesn't work like a pigment does, so you have to know that going into it. Anyway, and now it's time to take the Sigma E20 short shader brush, and this time I'm gonna go into the shade City Lights, and I'm gonna start applying that all over the lid. That's pretty. It's not as metallic as I thought it was gonna be, but it's pretty. And keep in mind, this is with a dry brush. I haven't sprayed it, I haven't wet the brush or the shadow. Okay, not my favorite shimmer, but not the worst either. I'm gonna try and spray my brush to see if I can get it a little more foiled and metallic, because this is definitely not. It's pretty, but it's not metallic. And I kinda want it to be, if I can. So just gonna give a little spritz and go back into City Lights and now apply it. Oh yeah, that's better. That is much, much better. Okay, I can live with that. Now, as you can see, I have that shimmer shade all over my lid, and it's not a bad shimmer shade at all. It looks really, really nice. I did lose a little bit of the dimension that I did have from the deeper shade that was essentially falling onto my lid from depositing it into my crease. So now I'm going to purposely add dimension to my lid, and I'm gonna go in with my Sigma E43 domed blending brush. And for this part, I'm gonna go into the shade Thunder and Lightning. Again, not adding any spray to this brush, tapping off the excess and putting this just on the outer edge of my lid. Oh yeah, that was nice. That adds just a nice touch of that deeper shade on the outer edge, but it doesn't take it too far. I might still deepen it up just a little bit more with the matte shade I used in my crease, but that's nice. Okay, the deeper shade is now laid down, and what I'd like to do is go back in with my E45 small tapered blending brush and back into the shade DMs, and I'm gonna take just a little bit of that shade. And do you see where I have this disconnect right here from the lightness to the deep, where it just kind of cuts off? I don't like it to cut off. I want it to blend into each other, so I'm gonna use this to kind of soften that edge between the two. I finished cleaning up the edges of the darkness to add in that dimension again, so now it looks like I have deeper sockets than what I actually do, which is good for someone without deep sockets. Now, I'm noticing that there's not really any like highlight shade in here, which I'm beginning to understand that for kind of the focus of this palette and the direction this palette goes, it makes sense that there's not a highlight shade in here, because there is nothing dramatic per se in here aside from blue. There's a blue. So since it doesn't have a highlight shade, I'm gonna go into my Colourpop Super Shock Shadow in the shade Truth. It's a really pretty cool toned brown, and I cleaned off my E20 short shader brush, and I'm just gonna go right into here, grab some of this shade and put it toward my inner corner. You know what, maybe that's a little too brown. Now I'll have to do it to the other side too, but I'm gonna go back over with something else because that was too much of a brown shade. It had the shine, yes, but too much pigment. So instead, I'm actually gonna try the shade I Heart This. This is another cool tone brown, but with a lot more white reflect in it. And I'm hoping this is gonna give me that like icy brown pop of highlight. Oh yeah, there we go. That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for this whole time. Where have you been all my life? Now that I have that applied in my inner corner, I'm gonna try and use that shade Denim. I don't think it's gonna work, but I'm gonna try and use it anyway. And I just cleaned off the E20 again. I'm still gonna use that. I'm gonna go into Denim and I'm gonna put that on my brow bone, or try to, because I wanna see what this blue looks like. Let me try it on my hand first. I just don't understand. There's nothing there. Why is this shade even in here? I'm actually gonna take my Morphe M151 and I'm gonna go into the shade City Lights again, and I'm gonna put that on my brow bone since I can't use the shade Denim. I do not understand, what can you even do with denim? It's not blue enough to act as a blue for you. It doesn't have enough shimmer in it to be a white toned blue highlighter. I just don't understand its purpose. That is literally the only shade in this palette that I am thoroughly disappointed in. Man, that shade is just beautiful. It's beautiful on the lid, it's beautiful on the brow bone, it's just beautiful. I think this part of the look is now done, pretty much the upper eye portion. Now the lower lash, I need to have my complexion products done, I need to have my concealer on, and all of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my complexion products off camera and get ready for the second part of the eyeshadow look. I'll finish up the look and then I will give you my final thoughts on the Tarte Sugar Rush Goals 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 palette. My complexion, everything is now done, I believe. I think we're all good to go. Now, I'm gonna move on to my lower lash line. I think I'm just gonna go into the shade Beach House and smoke that out. I think that's gonna be the prettiest thing that I wanna do right now. Because like I said before, I wanna keep this pretty neutral and wearable because I feel like that's what this palette is kind of focused on. Okay, lower lash line is now smoked out. And I'm also gonna go in with my Colourpop cream gel liner. This one is in the shade Honey Dude. This is like the perfect nude eye shade for me. Okay, perfect. Oh, that adds just such a nice touch. It really opens up the eye and just, it's just good. And now, naturally, I'm gonna add in the Tarte Man-Eater Mascara after I curl my lashes. I always almost forget, but that's better than what I used to do, which was always forgetting. Mascara is completed. I forgot how much I really liked that mascara until just now. Turns out I really like it. Anyway, this is the completed final eye look, and I think I'm happy with it. The shadows are pretty, they blended well together, they look really nice. Granted, they are definitely not pressed pigments, and they do not function like them. They function like eyeshadows. So just remember that if you ever decide to get this palette. Now, do I recommend it? For the right person, yes, I do recommend the Tarte Sugar Rush Goals 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 palette. It is for sure targeted for the type of eyeshadow wearer who goes for more neutral looks, like neutral, wearable, everyday, like going to school type looks. Or going to the office, or just your basic shade and light. Not really any over-the-top color or intricate eye designs. It seems like it is made more for like just basic neutral wear. And it does have a couple of pops of color. I did not play with those today. I probably will play with those at some point later. The main pops per se are this blue, teal, green kind of color, the ochre, and the shade Backstage and Road Trip and Matcha. Those are kind of pops, if you will. Like you put those on the lid, maybe in the outer crease just to blow it out a little bit. And there's also some more saturated color with Dance Off over here and Just Me and Tag Me, maybe even Selfie up here. But that's just what they are. They are pops of color. It's not going to get you just oversaturated looks. And with this eyeshadow formula itself, it's not the type of eyeshadow that you're gonna put on the first time and it's gonna be super pigmented and that's all you're gonna need. It's gonna take work to build it up. And the shimmers, if you want them to be extra foiled, are going to take some extra work. It's gonna take some kind of spray or using your finger, some kind of finessing. It's going to take it because based on the formula of the ones I used, they're just not made to be extra metallic. Now, for me personally, as my own taste in eyeshadow palettes, no. I could not recommend this one. No matter what I feel about the previous two Tarte palettes that I have, that I do love, this one's not for me. Now it may be for you, and that's fine. I actually am friends with someone at school, Amber, who would probably love this palette and would probably love this look because it is her kind of jam. It's just one of those, you know, kind of wearable for being socially acceptable to everyone type looks. And don't get me wrong, it's beautiful and I love it. It's just not what I always go for and not what I like to play with. But it is a safe eyeshadow look and a safe eyeshadow palette. So if you like that sort of thing, Tarte Sugar Rush Goals 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 is for you. Speaking of things that are for you, if this video was for you, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. It lets me know that you like my content and that you might like me maybe. Also, if you like this look and want to see more looks like them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. My username is the same for everything. It's just ChristopherJMUA. And if you gain nothing out of this video, if you gain nothing out of any of my videos, please at least gain this. And that is to always remember and never forget that you are absolutely beautiful. And I love you. Bye guys.